was faster and faster.
I think we're finally asking the right question about KTM's MotoGP project, because this is no longer just about another mechanical failure. If these repeated breakdowns really are connected, KTM could be facing a much bigger technical problem. Now, Pedro Acosta has publicly questioned whether the RC16 is becoming a safety issue. And then he asked one question that I don't think anyone at KTM will want to hear. Who's to say that these problems won't happen again? Today, I want to look at why these failures keep happening and whether they're actually connected. Welcome back to With Antone, MotoGP. You know, I think we've reached a turning point in KTM's MotoGP project. For most of this season, we've been asking whether the RC16 is finally fast enough to consistently challenge at the front of the race. But after technical problems in Barcelona, Brno and Assen, I think we're asking a much more important question. Can the KTM riders still trust the motorcycle that they are riding? You know, every MotoGP rider has to trust the bike that they are on. When you're doing more than 350 kilometers per hour, there simply isn't any room in your mind for doubt. And I'm not the one that's asking this question. Pedro Acosta is asking it. And after the latest technical failure, he said, when it becomes a safety issue, I think it's time to really get it checked out. Now, that's a remarkable thing for a factory rider to say in public. Because once a rider starts questioning whether the next failure could happen, this stops being just a reliability story and becomes a question of confidence. And of course, potentially a question of safety. So I don't think today's story is simply about another mechanical failure. I think it's about something that is much bigger. Why do these failures keep happening to the KTM Grand Prix motorcycles? Because until KTM can answer that question, every new breakdown becomes more than reliability issue. It becomes, as we've said, a confidence issue. And in MotoGP, confidence and safety, well, they're inseparable. They're tied together. Okay, let's take a look at this issue a little bit closer. My interpretation and what really caught my attention, it isn't just one individual failure. It was the variety of failures that we've seen this season. We've heard stories about sensors, we've heard electronic shutdowns, and we've even heard about a stuck throttle. Look, MotoGP journalist Simon Patterson recently on the Race MotoGP podcast said that there's been discussions in and around the paddock about KTM's fly-by-wire throttle system. Now, none of that proves these incidences are connected. In fact, KTM may already know exactly what's causing them. But when different failures keep appearing across different systems, I think it's reasonable to ask whether they're really isolated incidences, or whether these are symptoms of an underlying technical issue that KTM is still trying to work out and understand. And here's why this matters beyond Pedro Acosta. Right now, Pedro Acosta is recovering from the recent surgery. This season for him, he needs to have it all about confidence rebuilding, not managing doubt and not managing a motorcycle beneath him. But the bigger issue is no longer contained inside just KTM's own garage, because every rider on the grid can get caught up in one of these incidences. Look, the Barcelona crash showed how quickly a technical failure on one KTM bike can affect riders who had absolutely nothing to do with that original problem. Just ask Alex Márquez. And that's why Acosta's comments, they really start to matter. This is just not about where KTM's finishing. It's about confidence across the entire paddock whenever a KTM is on track. KTM's future is about to change, and while they're working on trying to solve these mechanical issues, the rider lineup is about to change dramatically. Look, the paddock is continuing to link Alex Márquez and Fabio Giannantonio with the factory team, and also it looks like Tech 3 is going to look vastly different. Luca Marini, well, he continues to be linked to the satellite squad, and Moto2 star Australian Senna Aegis is increasingly being mentioned as another realistic option. But former Haas Formula One team principal Gunther Steiner has recently criticised Maverick Vinales for publicly discussing his future before KTM's contractual option has expired. Look, his point was simple. If KTM controls the contractual options, the timing of those decisions isn't in the hands of the rider. Well, it's the 1st of July has come and gone, so Enea Bastianini has been freed from his hold from KTM. Let's see what happens with Maverick Vinales. But whatever happens, one thing for sure, KTM will soon find itself rebuilding on the technical side and also from their rider lineup. And they'll be doing this at exactly the same time, especially at a time when they should be devoting all their efforts to the 850 for next year. Now, looking at Yamaha, well, the future's been confirmed. The announcement has been made and they've taken a clear direction. One of MotoGP's longest running rider market questions has been answered. Fabio Quartararo, yes, he will leave Yamaha officially at the end of this season. He joined in 19, he delivered 11 victories, 32 podiums, and of course, he delivered the 2021 MotoGP World Championship to Yamaha. Looks like Alex Rins officially announced will be leaving the project as well. And in a major reset for the factory, Yamaha has confirmed that Jorge Martín and Ogura will join for seasons 27 and 28. That means Yamaha will enter the 850cc new era with an entirely new rider foundation and a very different long-term direction. I'm going to have some more to say on this very soon. But listen, I'd love to know what you think. Do you think these KTM failures are simply isolated mechanical problems that can happen with any MotoGP bike? Or do you think that they are symptoms of one of a bigger technical issue that they need to solve? And what do you make of this Yamaha's new lineup? Jorge Martín, Ogura, two of the current Aprilia stars moving across. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I genuinely think this is one of the really interesting topics. And from a KTM point, I think it's one of the most important technical stories in MotoGP right now. But until these underlying issues are fully understood, every rider lining up beside a KTM has reason to ask the same question Pedro Acosta asked us after Assen. Who's to say it won't happen again? Remember, data, not noise. Listen, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the episode, give us a thumbs up. If you're new here, welcome. Why not drop us a subscription and share the video around? Anyway, thanks for watching. Look forward to talking again real soon. Okay, bye for now.